Hey everyone, this is Sho, and thanks for checking out the video. So, you know how sometimes you go to a restaurant and you see like a burger on the menu, the picture looks amazing, the ingredients fresh, and then when you actually receive it, it's all falling apart and the ketchup is dripping out, but the second you take a bite, it's absolutely delicious? That's today's game. We'll be checking out the turn-based tactical RPG, King's Bounty 2 on the Switch. Let's take a look. Released on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch in August 2021, King's Bounty 2 is the direct sequel to the first King's Bounty from 1990. I personally never played the first, but from what I gathered, it's a bit of a cult classic from the Genesis, Mega Drive, and PC platforms. In King's Bounty 2, you'll select one of 3 heroes, each with their own unique background story. You can play as the dishonored knight Ivar, the sassy noble-born mage Catherine, and everyone's favorite little sister, Elsa, all of which have been framed for the attempted assassination of the King of Nostria. After selecting your character, you'll start vibing with Elder Scrolls as you'll wake up in a jail, and then get immediately freed by orders of the prince. Then, get some wishy-washy plot on how you're special. To be honest, I feel these fantasy plots such as this are extremely overused and honestly don't really vibe with me much these days. Especially in King's Bounty 2, where there are many references to past events in the lore. Now, I do gonna give the benefit of the doubt. My knowledge on the first King's Bounty is nil, so perhaps playing the first game gives this extra context. If you played the first one, let me know if this is the case in the comments. Regardless, the plot is presented well enough for me to keep engaged. However, it would be nice if there was some form of encyclopedia or something else like a dictionary made available to handle this expanded lore. With performance, visuals are struggling to say the least. This is clearly a PC game scaled down to be on the Switch. You will have asset pops, complete drops of textures, grainy modules, and basically all else possible. Now, I didn't notice any major frame rate drops though, so I guess that's a positive, but you will definitely see the difference in fidelity very clearly. So, if you are really big into visual acuity, be warned. Now, audio is nicely presented in the soundtrack. It vibes well with the fantasy genre. Also, just about all the dialogue is voiced, which is awesome. But I will say that some of the casting and the script is a bit meh at times. For example, Catherine has a very sassy and annoyed response to just about everything. So, when you're doing good deeds or you're doing some really heartfelt support quests, her quips just don't really match what you would be expecting of the character. Otherwise, it runs together fairly nicely with that nice blend of good, fantasy audio. So, what makes King's Bounty 2 different from most turn-based strategy games is the open world element that you can explore. Outside of battles, you'll have the freedom to explore a huge open world where you can engage in quests, side quests, exploration, and so on. You have a comprehensive map that keeps track of everything you come across, even treasures, so that is a saving grace for those who are, collectors and hoarders. Movement around the world map is extremely slow, however, but there are some warp stones that you can take advantage of that are placed throughout the map, so definitely you want to do that. It's also here where you can equip items, manage your units, and review quest information. The open world is where you'll be spending most of your time, and it is where you will gain most of your XP and money, but most importantly, your ideals and leadership. The ideals system works as a sort of morality system that influences your hero's skills, as well as morale boosts with your units. As you complete quests, you'll sometimes be given choices on how to go about the objective. By picking one route, you'll receive a point in that respective ideal. The more points in one ideal, the higher level skills you can unlock, and the more morale boosts your units can get. So, there are 4 ideals: order, power, anarchy, and finesse. To note, while all 4 are separate, there's a sort of dichotomy between order power against anarchy finesse. Order is the lawful side, the good side, so to speak. Skills here are centered around defense and healing, with units that follow the traditional human fantasy of knights, mages, and so on. Power sits to the side of order, focusing on raw strength to empower your units through warfare. Power units are dwarves, animals, and other beasts. On the opposite side of this dichotomy is anarchy, which focuses on capitalism and gaining more money. Ironically, most units here are bandits, thugs, but many of the undead units fall in this category too. To the side of anarchy is finesse. Finesse is where all the magic-based skills are. Units of finesse are generally golems and enchanted monsters. Leadership, on the other hand, is gained while completing quests and leveling. Leadership dictates the types of units that you can acquire, as well as the size of the squad you can field at one time. We'll get into this a bit shortly. Additionally, upon leveling up, you'll get skill points to use to craft your hero's playstyle, and there is a mana currency which is used to learn magics for your spellbook. To learn magic, you need to first purchase or find a spell scroll. Then you can use mana to learn the spell permanently and even upgrade it to enhance its effects. Otherwise, spell scrolls can be used as one-off items during battles. Speaking of battles, let's talk about them. On the open world map, you'll see yellow outlines that indicate battle zones. Upon approach, you'll be taken to a screen where you will see the enemy's forces, your forces, and given a short, sort of rough estimate on the challenge. Proceeding from here, you'll be taken to the map and allowed to adjust the placement of your units on your side of the field. A nice touch to note here is the level generated will actually reflect the open world's environment terrain. So this isn't something like you're taken to a different area. What you fight on is exactly what you explore on. Anyway, after placing your units, the battle starts. Battles are done in rounds with each unit taking a once per round. Now, turns are based on initiative, so the highest initiative goes first. Generally, units have one action point, one movement point, and a defense action that ends their turn. The units themselves occupy a hexagonal space, and line of sight applies to all range attacks. For this reason, elevation and terrain play a huge role, as it is possible to stay out of sight of ranged units. Units themselves have access to spells and skills that may use the hero's mana or their action point. Furthermore, some units have special characteristics that allow them to move through specific elevations or terrains without penalty. This is an important feature to note, as undead spirits and elementals can very easily pass through areas and get the jump on your units. Also, I want to mention that there are a lot of different unit types and styles in the game. I could make a whole 1-hour video going through them. Now, another important point of units is their morale. Basically, if units of the same ideal fight together, they have extra stat bonuses and have the chance to gain additional turns per round. If you mix units of different ideals together, they'll suffer penalties conversely. For this reason, it's optimal to keep 1 or maybe 2 different types of units per run. You can negate these losses through skills, but it tends to just be easier to have one type of unit. In regards to a unit's power, it's contingent on 2 points: the amount of soldiers in the unit and the rank of the unit. As mentioned before, leadership plays a role in what types of units you have, with more powerful units costing more leadership. However, each unit type also has a maximum squad size, which is dictated by leadership. For example, the leadership cost of 1 spearman is, let's say, 20. Spearmen can form a group of up to 10 per unit. This means to have access to a full 10-man squad of spearmen, you'll need 200 leadership. This is arguably the most important part of a unit's attack power. The more units you can fit into a squad, the more attack and HP you'll get. For this reason, when fielding your units, be sure to send in squads that have more members. You'll notice a really big difference in power between a squad of 3 versus a squad of 6. Next is the unit's level. To the left side of the unit's information, you'll see a chevron, military band, and an XP number. This indicates the level to which the unit has, up to 3. Units gain levels by winning battles and getting the killing blow on enemies. As units level from 1 to 3, not only will their overall power increase, but new skills can be unlocked and even their appearance will change. All units have their own strengths and weaknesses, with some having great physical resistance, but take double damage from magic. You'll need to inspect each unit's details to figure out the best way to use them. Now, this next part is extremely important. When one of your squads gets eliminated, all units in the squad are lost. If you are able to save at least 1 unit, then you can recover all lost units at the fraction of the cost in rehiring them. Furthermore, unless you have a backup unit in your reserves, if your whole squad dies, all current XP gain is lost. So let me repeat that. All current XP gained by your unit is reset if everyone in the unit dies during battle. The exception to this is keeping at least 1 spare of the unit in your reserves. Always do this. However, I do want to mention that any increase to rank is permanent, even for newly recruited units. Finally, you have access to a spell book during battle. You are able to use one spell per round at the cost of some mana. Your total mana available is contingent on your hero's stats. Spells are extremely helpful in battle by providing extra summoning of units, heals, buffs, debuffs, and direct damage. As mentioned before, you can learn them by getting scrolls and using mana to master the spell, or using scrolls as single-use items. To summarize my feelings with the mechanics of this game, there's a lot, and it's going to be definitely rough for someone new to strategy games. For veterans, there are loads of approaches and numbers to keep track of, so if you're really into these sort of numbers games, then you'll be in heaven. Otherwise, prepare for a steep learning curve. So, I'll be upfront with you. There is no difficulty mode in this game, because by default, the difficulty of this game is pants on head insane. Despite the open world aspects to get golden XP, there are certain restrictions on how far ahead you can get. Battles take advantage of this by placing your lightly filled squads against nearly full squads of enemies. So, if you reach a battle you can't win, turn around and try to do some more quests to boost your leadership in an attempt to gain more units for your squads. Even so, I've gotten completely slapped by units rated weaker than me. You may get nailed by enemies that score multiple critical hits with additional turns, you can get smacked with high-powered spells or skills from your enemy leaders. In all, you really need to consider how, where, and what you're doing every single battle. For this reason, keeping it short and sweet, this game is a challenge even for veterans. For newcomers, you'll likely find a lot of frustration, and it will take time to make progress. But if you can keep a cool head and enjoy a good challenge, go for it. So I really can't call this cheese, but I will provide some insight into some of the more stronger and perhaps OP units to go for. So, from the get-go, if you're running the order ideal, get doggos. Dogs are extremely potent fighters early on and up into the mid-game. They are fast, hard-hitting, and you can get a big squad quickly. If you're going down the anarchy path, secure archers, especially the free archers, which are given from a quest about a quarter of the way in. In general, ranged units are absolutely the strongest in the game, especially those with fire arrows or other stat elemental skills. Now, if you're planning on doing a mage like I did in my first playthrough, the finesse units are harder to manage. But Kurt in the Royal City has some stone elementals. These big boys hit extremely hard, have great initiative, and are absolute walls that can help safeguard a narrow path. On the topic of magic, from what I've seen, it's impossible to learn and max out all spells in a single playthrough. So, you should learn as much as you can and only upgrade what you need. I would suggest going for Magic Shackles, as this prevents enemy units from using skills. Going for the Elemental buffs for units. This actually allows for a 30% damage boost in whatever element you buff. So, if you're buffing fire against undead, this actually is broken because undead take 50% more damage from fire. So, you're getting almost like a 60% damage boost just by using this buff spell. Also, I would suggest at least one summon spell on the side, such as Clay Golem or an Elemental. While the mana cost is high and only one unit can be summoned at a time through magic, being able to summon a full unit of level 3 golems is a great insta-boost to any force on the field. King's Bounty 2 is a fantastic strategy game for veterans who enjoy a challenge and have a love for full customization of their army. For newcomers, this is a massive game where you can find yourself trapped if not careful. I can definitely see people being easily overwhelmed by the sheer amount of systems at play. Now, despite its obvious performance issues on the Switch, if you're looking to have a complex tactical game on the go, it's absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, I imagine you'll enjoy the PC or PS4, Xbox versions more. Alright, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I was really happy to get this out, as I don't have a good gaming rig for strategy games on the PC, so whenever a port like this makes it over, I jump on it as quick as I can. Now, if you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. As always, I really appreciate the love you all send. It truly means a lot to me. It makes me feel warm inside just getting more and more people interested in the content here, so thank you so much. From myself, the one-man army. Also, let me know in the comments if you had the chance to play this on the Switch, or if you played it on any other versions. I'd love to get your experiences with the game and hear your feedback as well. So thank you so much, and remember, if the going gets tough, just switch strats. Cheers!